Hello viewers, it's Super GT here. Welcome back to some more Forza 6 online gameplay in S-Class, this time around Lime Rock, the capital of chaos in the game. Well, every track's the capital of chaos. Look at that, everyone's off. I've made contact with a Ferrari and, well, pretty much everyone's made contact with everyone else. Let's just put it that way, that's the easiest way to put it. To summarise that first turn, I am driving the Aston Martin Vanquish. Now this car actually seems fairly decent for this class. I decided to try out a couple of different cars just to see how they perform. This one seems alright. Now coming into this turn, the Volvo is going to brake really early. It's caught me off guard. I was going to graze the tyre wall. I'm going to lose a big bunch of positions, going down into 12th eventually as I settle back into position. So we're not going to run the chicanes here. I do prefer this layout actually of Lime Rock. It's just a lot more simple. A lot less chaos on this layout, although still a lot of chaos, let's put it that way. So through past those two guys, getting a poor run through the final turn, and Celine here is going to look up the inside, is he? And I'm just going to have to bail out of that move. I had the brakes nicely if that guy wasn't there. Those guys are just going to drive straight off the track. But I just had to bail out last second, otherwise I would have punted him round. So just doing the safe thing and just turning away from the corner. Now this KTM Crossbow is going to come back onto the track. He hasn't got momentum there, so I'm through past him. Now I kept calling that car the Aerial Atom in previous videos, but I'm pretty sure I've got it right this time. That is the Crossbow. And we're looking at the back of the Dodge Viper 2013, the SRT one. And we're almost going to go into the back of him. We've got three abreast up the top there. It's getting very hairy. The Volvo's gone off. He can say goodbye to any hopes of a decent result here. The other guy is off as well. The M1 Pro car slow on the right hand side there. And I'm through past him and the KTM Crossbow. A nice little move there. And looking up the inside of the Dodge Viper SRT. And I've got it stopped just in time. Look at that. Testament to the brakes of this car. Getting a little punt on the exit of the turn. Not really sure why he did that. I had a decent line there. Didn't brake on him surprisingly, but he just punted me through. It looked like there was a bit of concertina effect back there. But moving ahead to the end of the race, this is halfway through lap 6, just running a little bit wide there, but moving back to the left before we take the right hand of the second to last turn. As we go downhill into the final turn, can we get third place on the exit here? The LFA is fairly slow through that turn. I'm being chased down by the M1 Pro car and I'm just going to edge him out to the very edge of the track. And I'm just going to keep 4th place. Now that is how you defend a position to the line. You can't swerve across them. You have to give them the car width that they have. And thankfully it was just enough there just to keep the position. So now Silverstone in the Jaguar XJ220. Now I hadn't actually driven this car. I had it in my garage for ages, and the Maserati and the Ferrari there going to make an Italian love tangle through the second turn, but the Maserati has recovered into the third turn. And I'm around the outside. I saw a couple of proximity arrows go suspiciously fast to the left. I imagine a couple of people went very wide at turn 3, but I'm through. As we go onto the Wellington straight, we can test the straight line speed of this car, which I'd imagine is its main trump card. And as you can see, they're pulling away from the Maserati, which in itself is not a very bad car in the straight line speed department. But he does catch up on the brakes, as you can see by the proximity arrow. There are many ways in this game that you can keep track of the location of the person behind you without actually looking behind. So that proximity arrow, a new feature in the game, added with the NASCAR expansion, is very useful, and I recommend turning that on, just so you can tell if someone is getting rather close. Also the markers on the left hand side, so it's got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and it's got the distance behind. That is also very useful for determining exactly where they are behind you. So the thing on the left there, you can tell how far behind they are. Proximity arrow, you can tell also how far behind they are and which direction they are coming from. So sometimes you can suss out an overtake or a lunge from someone behind before they've done it. Just if you can watch those two things without having to look behind. Having to look behind, yeah, it's good to do it when you can do it, but it can be a distraction, especially if you have to do it halfway through turns or going into turns where you don't really want to be doing that when you've got your focus fully on the brakes and the downshifting if you are using manual gears. But through Stowe Turn, we're coming up into the final section of the Silverstone circuit, and we're into the club corner section here, and I'm being trailed still by the Maserati. He is not letting me go here, and we go through the final turn. The car is just very hooked up, very good on grip through there. I'd say its main problem though is the overall turning ability. So through this one, I'm just going to get a little bit wide, and we all know the curbs around here. If you light up the rear tyres when you're on one of these curbs, it's going to throw you around, and it did for me there. So for now, we are going to have the roles reversed, and I'm going to be the one in second chasing down the Maserati. So he's put pressure on me for the first half of the race, and I'm going to put pressure on him for the second. So we're going to see if we can recover this race and try to come back to an overall victory. So through Stowe Turn, this is where we can see the strength of the Maserati. On the brakes though, it does look as though I do gain. That might be because of better braking technique. It looked like he locked up, so I imagine he isn't using ABS. So we can see from that point of view that he is probably using the same assist as me, I would imagine. Now it's always good when you are behind someone to kind of suss out exactly where they're strong and where they're weak. Now I do remember that he was quite weak through this first section, so I'm going to try to make the most of that. My main aim here is to try and get a good section here and give myself a good run up the Wellington Straight in a moment to try and get a run into the Luffield section. So he is actually very quick there, getting a late apex, not getting the car too sideways, and then through the left hand kink onto the straight. This is always going to be my best chance, or a very good chance, because remember on lap 1 we did see that my car was superior on the straight, so you've got to make the most of that on the straight sections. So I wasn't quite close enough there, so my next best bet is going to be at the end of the Hangar Straight, which is after the Maggots Beckett section. So for now I pretty much just have to hang as close as possible, and I hope that by the time I get to that straight I'm close enough. So for now it's pretty much just a case of just hit the apexes, do the best you can for these next couple of corners. Through Copse Corner, getting the apex there nicely. He's going to run ever so slightly wide. He risked there doing what I had on the previous lap. He could have easily have spun around on the curb there, so that is always a risk that you carry. And again, I actually go a little bit too eager into that turn, and it actually throws me round. The curb actually throws me round, so perhaps that is another weakness of this car, is that it doesn't quite like the curbs unless my driving technique wasn't quite up to it. I could always adapt to my driving technique. So at the end of the straight, obviously catching up there, you can see gaining quite a lot of ground and just go a little bit too deep on the brakes, cutting back for a late apex. So I'm going to try again. I can always try the cut back through the final turn if I get close enough, but the Maserati has it covered. It looks like I do pull up very close on the brakes. Coming up into the final section, he's just going to have the measure of me here, and I just can't quite get close enough to overtake. So through the final turn, I'm going to finish first and second in a very close fought race. Now that is a very good race for Forza standards. So we're going to go to some bonus clips here. The first one, or the only one I'm going to show you, is in around Le Mans in the Chevrolet Camaro 02. So this car is absolutely ridiculous on straight line speed. Although having said that, I was actually being beaten by a couple of other people who had even faster, ridiculous straight line missiles. But then come up into the final section of the Le Mans circuit. This is lap 2 of 2, so we've only got about a quarter of the race remaining. And we've got a very good battle going on here between myself and this fella in the other car. I'm going to try and name it in a moment. That is actually the Jaguar XJ220, which I just drove. So that car also proving that it is a very good straight line speed car. This is the Mulsanne alteration or version of this circuit. So people going for their straight line speed missiles. Looking around the outside, he's just going to edge me wide. That is not a good place to go for a move. Just going to make contact with him there. Almost push him out onto that very sticky tarmac. Thankfully he didn't go quite wide enough. And then coming through into the final section, just going to get so wide over the artificial, whatever that is, paint. Artificial paint, of course paint is artificial. But into the final section, he's just going to let me go for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I think he thinks that he broke too much, and I went to the back of him because of it. I'm just going to slow down here. And I wanted to let him back past, but he clearly wanted to let me go. But we finished over the line together. Isn't that nice? It's really cute. But that was a fairly decent show of sportsmanship, and there's actually a really good couple of races there with the Jaguar as well. So that is going to bring close to the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the video and your stories of good sportsmanship. It's very good to hear that in the comment section below. So that is all from me. Thank you very much for watching. As always, subscribe for more, hit that like button, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.